Welcome back to Here's the Takeaway podcast. I'm your host, Kim Bindle. Looking forward to connecting with this outstanding ministry that's here in our own Fort Wayne backyard. Welcome to the podcast founder and executive director of New Mercies Ministries, Bonnie Doolittle. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so thrilled you're here, and I want to get to the ministry, but I'm always curious about everybody's story of getting to ministry. This is a ministry that helps families who are struggling financially and also maybe just emotionally, spiritually, and you have a heart to do this. Where did that come from? What's your story, Bonnie?
Yeah, so I grew up in a single-parent household, raised by a mom whose hair was constantly on fire in crisis, and just there were lots of people around us that helped support that. My grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, and just came alongside us. But I got to constantly see my mom in this perpetual state of crisis. And so left home at 18, married young, had kids, been married for 42 years. Just loving the Lord. I came to know the Lord early in life, and I was 6 years old, grandparents taking us to church. And so I've always loved the Lord, and but I wanted to be in the corporate world.
Okay.
So my husband put me through college, launched a career in accounting and IT, and had a very long career. But it just always, I came to the point about 2010 where I was feeling like I wasn't where the Lord wanted me and that I needed to be using my gifts and talents for something else. So, coupled with my, growing up years, just feeling like I am not really, in where He needs me to be. I think all of those steps were, needed to be where I am today. But just not feeling that. So I felt that tug, but I didn't know where. I always felt like possibly supporting single moms somehow. So I looked at different organizations, just never really feeling like I was being led there.
Right.
Finally, in my church, Headwaters Church, one Sunday morning announced bringing a new ministry to the area. We used to be with another organization, and I signed up the first day to do everything I could. Just felt immediately right there in the pew. The whole service was about serving the vulnerable, from James 1:27.
Yes.
And looked at my husband right away, and I said, this is it. This is it, what I've been looking for 2.5 years.
Wow.
So fast forward, I immediately just started serving as a volunteer for 4 years.
Okay.
And then the ministry got to the point of needing staff. And I, again, was feeling, called to leave the corporate world, but not really sure how, and all of that. And not really wanting to be the first employee,
Right.
The leader.
Because you're the one that has to go through all the
Because
ups and downs and all of the,
I thought I needed to be on the front line serving with the moms, serving the moms directly. But where the Lord, long story short, where the Lord was leading me was to use my gifts and talents to scale and sustain a ministry that was volunteer driven to that point.
Right.
And so I answered the call, yes. And then fast forward to 2017, we decided to separate from that organization that we were with before. And I founded New Mercies Ministries 5 years ago, almost right now.
Wow.
And and we named it Ministries because we have other things in mind besides our core child hosting ministry.
Okay.
So there's a future as well.
Let's talk about all of that too.
Yeah.
So with New Mercies Ministries, we're talking about vulnerable situations, a lot like what you apparently grew up being around. I think it's fascinating that God took every inch of your life. Absolutely nothing was wasted to weave in your accountant talents, and then also just your personal experience of what it was like being raised by your single mom.
Right.
And I'm curious, let's talk about the ministry itself and what it does.
Sure. Yeah. So right now, what we've been doing since 2013 is serving family. And we don't just serve single moms. We serve any family in crisis with our child hosting ministry currently. We have 60 host homes across northern Indiana who come alongside families that are in crisis, a parent-based crisis. Either, they're suffering from housing stability, financial instability, homelessness, need for rehab, incarceration, short incarceration. So any parent-driven crisis, what we do is we come alongside that family by offering them a host home for their children to be during the time of crisis. So we want to remove the child from that situation so that we're trying to keep them out of foster care.
Okay.
Because often what happens when a crisis occurs is parents start making decisions that are not good for their kids. But they're trying to keep food on the table or trying to keep the roof over their head or whatever. So they're making decisions that they need to in a crisis. You're not always thinking about what's best. And so that is where child neglect could happen. So a lot of those that we serve are walking that line of if they don't get support, they're going to, their kids are going to be removed from their custody.
Okay. And that's what you're helping to avoid.
Right.
Okay. So this host family, to kind of put it in our layman's terms here to try to understand, is the ministry's foster parents.
It is. It can be considered privatized fostering, but they're not foster licensed.
Right.
The family never loses custody of their children. We work alongside them with a legal agreement. The Support and Strengthening Families Act of Indiana is what governs us. So it allows us to be involved with the family without the Department of Child Services being involved.
And so what this does is it kind of helps stop a kid from bouncing around in a foster home. It just seems like we're more centered. I mean, does that happen where you're moving kids from one support every once in a while?
It could happen, but that's not the goal. The goal is stability.
Okay.
So having them with one host home that's assigned to the family. And another difference between us and the foster care system is obviously it's gospel-centered. So our motivation behind this is to show and share the love of Christ.
Yes.
And so it is really not even to keep them out of foster care. It is to see them come to know Christ.
Right.
See a heart transformation.
Right.
And not even to get them out of poverty, but to bring the love of Christ to them.
Yes.
And so what we do in these host homes is keep the child safe from the crisis. The parent gets to talk to their child every day, hopefully around once or twice a week, getting a visit with them. Our goal is not to separate them like they are in the foster care system.
Right.
If your child is removed currently, it could be 6 months to 2 years to get them back. And they only have a reunification of 46% reunification rate. We have 99.99%.
Wow.
There is
Can't
dedication.
get any better than that. That is
last year the last 2 years it was 100%
wow
of children that came into a host home were reunited with their family.
Yeah, because it sounds to me like it's more. Definitely caring about the child not being exposed to things that they don't need to be exposed to and feeling that love and support. But it also feels like it is being the church body. It is supporting all of the parents too. It sounds like where
it's full
the parent,
circle.
it's not just loving on the kids and creating a relationship with the kids. It's loving on the family, because if everybody starts seeing Jesus, then yeah. Talk about that, where you're hitting on all of the different family members, and is there support for the parents?
Yes, there is. So we have a full circle of support that comes around this family. So we have the host family obviously is central, but the family coach is integral. So the family coach walks alongside the parent, meeting with them weekly to establish and help them accomplish stability goals, things that need to happen before the child can be reunited. That is a key role in the social work arena. You would call that a social worker, a caseworker.
Right.
These are just people that want to love on people and walk alongside. Obviously, there's training and there's
Of
things that we
course.
have to follow.
Yes.
There's paperwork that guides it all.
Right.
But these are just people like you and me, and this was the role that I volunteered in the beginning. Was just walking alongside that mom or the grandma that finds herself raising her grandchildren, or the couple that just have a medical crisis that they need to deal with. So these are just loving Christian people that are walking alongside families in crisis. So that is one way. Obviously, those are the two key roles. We can't do the hosting without those two. We won't do it without a family
Absolutely.
coach. And then we have, like I said earlier, 60 families across northern Indiana. We have 20 family coaches across northern Indiana.
Okay.
And those are all volunteers. And then we have support people, like people that answer the phone and people that do transportation to schools, people that run meals to families on their first night of hosting, people that deliver diapers to that donors have given for the host families. There's so many ways to volunteer. We have over 230 volunteers total.
Wow.
Again,
and that comes from the relationships that you have with the local church, right?
Yes. We recruit volunteers through the local church, and we have volunteers. Those 230-ish volunteers are in 52 different churches across about 12 counties, I believe.
That's fantastic. So what is the average length of time, and is there a cutoff time? I mean,
so yes. The law that governs us allows us to host for up to a year without the Department of Child Services intervening.
Okay.
We rarely go that long. There's maybe been less than a handful in 13 years.
Well, it's high motivation to not go that long.
Our average is 3 weeks.
Right.
I think something
3
like
weeks.
19 days. Yes.
That's fast.
Now, if homelessness is the issue,
Takes a little
those
longer.
take a lot longer.
Right.
I'd say those are 4 to 6 months. And often what happens, this is a trend lately, we're trying to get these kids back with their parents as soon as possible, as soon as safely possible.
Right.
And so what we see is a lot of back and forth. They might find a place where they could have the kids for a visit for a few days, like a grandparent's house, or
Right.
a friend that said, okay, the kids can't live here, but you can visit them here. And so we see a lot of back and forth going on right now.
Wow. That's amazing. I love hearing this because we talk a lot about the church being the church, and we throw around phrases like the church being the hands and feet. But this is really putting your money where your mouth is and doing the good work.
Yes,
It's
there
so
really
fantastic.
there really is something for everyone in this ministry.
Right.
I mean, if you have ever prayed for a vulnerable family,
Yes.
there's a place for you. We have monthly prayer meetings, weekly prayer requests. If you have made a meal for someone
Yeah.
who is, having surgery, or who brought someone into their home and has extra mouths to feed. Obviously, if you've walked alongside anyone who has been in a crisis, if you've taken care of a child because someone was having a baby, that's a popular request for support. The families that we serve, 99% are socially isolated and have no one to turn to. And often that's when neglect happens, is when they have no safe people in their life.
Yeah.
So what better community to offer than the church,
Yes.
the
I
body
love
of
that.
Christ?
And it's such a whole approach to not just stopping the problem, but looking for solutions, and ones that will, in the long term, will be able to give that family what they need. And I'm assuming that everybody, do people stay in contact after they've graduated from this?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you talk about being isolated, and suddenly these people in a lot of ways become family members.
Right. And it does happen. And honestly, that's the number one reason people stop hosting, is they've served so many that they are now continuing to support them even beyond the hosting,
Right.
the original hosting.
Coming over for Thanksgiving,
Yes.
spending time at Christmas, celebrating birthdays.
Yes. We have one host
Wow.
family. He just told me all the kids that they've hosted, at least 2 of the groups of kids that they've hosted, they celebrate their birthdays. They have them over for
Wow.
cake and ice cream and
Just
birthday party.
long-term
Yeah.
effects of this is just outstanding.
Yeah. And
Wow.
we're hoping, the ideal is that we connect them to a church,
Yeah.
which is why Headwaters moving down to the downtown area is great, because that's a more centrally located place for
People
to connect
Right.
families that have been served to a church that's closer to where they're
Right.
living. Most of the families that we serve are in the 46805, 46808, 468, just southeast Fort Wayne.
Okay.
So we're really trying to build up our church network in those areas so that we can
Wow.
connect them to a church.
That's exciting. So you mentioned earlier that there's more to it than this. What are some of the other areas that you're looking into as serving other people in the community?
So I mentioned earlier that the hostings that last the longest are when homelessness or housing instability is the crisis. They're either living in, they're doubling up in couch surfing, or living in hotels that are not fit for children, or just about to be evicted, already evicted, and can't find that next place to live because of the affordable housing crisis. So on the Headwater Church campus, they have given us a building to renovate,
Wow.
where we can serve 17 families at a time. So we're just about ready to begin continuing renovations, and we're hoping by January we will be able to invite 7 families into the home. So we'll meet them still in the child hosting
Wow.
ministry, and then when they get to that point of stability, not like complete, they have no more issues. I don't mean that. That's not even our motivation.
Right.
But when they get out of the crisis mode and they get to a point of okay, they can be reunited in this home to continue to walk towards stability together with their children. And so it's like phase 2.
Yes.
We meet them in the child hosting, and then we move them into this space to live in community, live on this campus.
Wow.
And so, we're about to begin renovation of that building, continue. We've done some things already,
Right.
but we're about to embark on the big piece of it to get the main floor ready for 7 families.
So it's a ministry in progress. It's like continuing to
Yes.
grow. How exciting is
Yes.
that? I was curious too, in comparison to, this is in essence going to be like a group home sort of, but a place where kids can feel safe, compared to shelter situation where maybe families don't feel like they have that safety.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you think those two compare, I guess? I'm curious.
Well, it's definitely going to be considered a shelter from,
Okay.
from the social service standpoint.
Sure.
Maybe what they might call transitional. So not an emergency. That's where the child hosting program will still be in effect, be live. But more of, okay, I'm ready to get that place on my own, and I just can't find it because of the affordable housing crisis
Okay.
that's going on right here in Fort Wayne.
Sure.
It is so hard to find a place that they can afford. They're few and far between.
Yes.
And it's getting harder and harder. So they will be able to live here, not supervised, not in a way that
Gives them their dignity.
yes, dignity and care is one of our
Right.
core values for sure. So it's not a supervised situation. It's not an emergency shelter. It's not a domestic violence shelter. Now, have these families suffered from those things? Yes.
Yeah.
But they're at a point of stability and they just need a place to be. And so we will continue to do what we're doing in the child hosting ministry with them while they're together in this home. So it's a home.
Wow.
And like I said, 7 families to start in hopefully by January.
All right. So here's the big question. We've listened to this incredible ministry. You've been a part of it for many, many years and seen different angles from it. I'm curious, without using people's names, of course, is there a story or a family that comes to your heart and mind that you may go to on a hard day that reminds you, this is why I'm doing this?
Oh, there's so many. So many. I think of a family that, I'll just go with a mom who just recently came to know Christ. Her family coach had been working with her for months. And she, actually, I'm not even sure she's made a decision for Christ yet, but working with her for months, she's been wrestling with homelessness, transportation issues, childcare. That's the new, it's not new, but that's the new major barrier to families finding jobs and homes.
Right.
Is the childcare crisis. I digress. But this mom was suffering from all of those things, really trying hard to do the right thing and work and take care of parent and have, all of the things. And just really struggling back and forth. So she was in, and her kids were in and out of hosting while she was looking for a job, and then in and out of hosting while she was working during the week, and then take them back on the weekends, and then finally found a place to live. It was far away, so she had to find another place to live, so there wasn't so much transportation, and then her car died. I mean, just thinking of all the things all the barriers that single moms might own, situation, and just how that affects the kids. And so she, at the same time, was just struggling with her faith. Like, why would God allow all of these things to happen? I'm trying to do all the things right. And so just struggling and questioning. And so I think it was somewhere around, and I'm not directly involved with the situation, but I heard of it, somewhere along the line of close to the kids going home. She finally has the new place to live, and the kids are now, she's got the job and childcare, all of that. It's all lined up. The family coach just sat down with her, and they had a 2-hour discussion about she shared the gospel full on with her. And you could just see, this coach mentioned, you could just see the wheels turning and how some of the questions are being answered, and how God uses suffering, and how he, just his plan for her.
Wow.
It may still include crisis, or it may still include, struggles.
Right.
But what, this gospel-centered message is all about.
Yes.
So those are the ones that I cling to, because that's our motivation. Our motivation is not to see moms no longer struggle, or no longer be in poverty, or no longer be homeless, or no longer suffer addiction. Those are all great objectives and what we focus on. But our motivation is to see them
Love the Lord.
come to know the Lord.
Yes.
Right.
It's powerful
Right.
stuff.
Yes. So every time I see this family coach, she goes to my church as well. When I see her with someone who doesn't look like her, or someone that's new, I often just wonder, and I, want to ask right then, but I just know that it's often somebody that we're serving that she has brought to church with her.
Wow.
And just hearing, getting
Eternity's
plugged in.
going to tell what happened. And I just feel like there's just so much that the Lord is up to that we don't necessarily get privy to when we're working in ministry.
Right.
That God's doing his good work. And we are just faithful. And you are so faithful in what God's called you to do. It's been such a joy to be with you today. Let's talk about real quick. It sounds like there's so many great volunteer opportunities.
Yes.
So as someone is listening right now, give us the rundown of, everybody's got their gift, their talent, their time constraints. What are some of the really needed and just the list of volunteer needs?
Yeah. So there's lots. There's always something that we need. And we're volunteer driven. So we have a very tiny staff that just fuels this whole thing. And so we need people to answer the phone. That's one of the biggest things that's coming to mind right now is our support line volunteers. They're the first point of contact for a mom or a family that calls. So praying with them on the phone, taking down all their information. We need more of those people.
Okay.
Many hands make light work, right?
Yes, yes.
Those family coaches that I mentioned.
Mhm.
There's a few that do most of the work.
Right.
And I would like to have that number be bigger
Mm.
and there'd be, spread that wealth across.
Wow.
So, and it is hard, but there is lots of training. I would say that leaders in the church, people champion the ministry in their church. If we're not already in that church, and don't even assume that we have a champion in that church just because you have volunteers.
Right.
There's 52 churches, but we have 27 what we call ministry coordinators. So if you want to see this in your church, give us a call.
Okay.
So on our website, new-mercies.org, there are ways to volunteer. There's ways to get involved. There is information for church leadership to evaluate us.
Yes.
And we would just love to come and talk. And even if you don't find a way to serve, because we can't list everything,
Sure.
we have a graphic designer, we have videographers, all of those things are keeping our costs down.
Of course.
So if you have a gift and talent that you want to use for Christ, that's what I was looking for.
Right.
Where does the Lord want to use my gifts and talents? And that's how I got into this, is just thinking of obviously being open to what he was calling, but where could he use what I already know, what he's already
Put in you.
put in me, right?
Yes.
And so just think about what, where the Lord has you right now and give us a call. We'll find a way to plug you
Yes.
in.
Do you have that number?
Yes. The number for our direct line is 260-627-9002. And then our website again is new-mercies.org. Don't forget the dash.
Okay. Awesome. Bonnie, it has been a joy to be with you today. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for spending time today. Area. Maybe God's touching your heart to begin something like this in your area. And I know that Bonnie would probably be available to just consult with and kind of give you the groundwork of what might need to happen to get it off the ground. It's a powerful way for us to love on each other, because we're really just walking each other home is what we're doing, and seeing each other and loving each other in this powerful, powerful way to encourage families. The world's trying to tear our families apart, but this is one ministry that's really helping and trying to push people to love Jesus and to stay a unit, which is powerful stuff. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for spending time with us. And thank you again, Bonnie Doolittle from New Mercies Ministries. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me.